Hello and welcome to Pleasanton, California, the home of Thermo Fisher Scientific Human Identification. My name's Dave Jackson and I'm the Senior Manager of Application Scientists here in North America. It's my distinct pleasure to be able to show you around in here today at some of the wonderful things that happen in this facility, and eventually we'll look together at the automation solutions that perhaps you want to consider for your lab to help make it more efficient and provide a better workflow for your solution. Let's take a look inside, so come on with me as we head into this facility. As we start to take a look around this incredible facility, first I want to take you into what must be the coolest, if not nerdiest, elevator that I've ever seen. So for decades, you've known Thermo Fisher Scientific to be the leader in HID workflows and technology. And here I am at our facility in Pleasanton, California, looking at what Thermo Fisher does on a big scale in research and development and testing of all sorts of technology that might not right now be usable in the HID community. But we know, as we all work together for the betterment of what you're trying to do in your lab, that one day some of what goes on in these labs could help to make you and your work much more efficient and much more effective. It's a real pleasure for me to be here with a couple of our team members who've been integral in the development of the ID Nimbus Presto automated workflow solution for your laboratories. Han Lee is our Senior Product Manager of Automation within the HID group. Welcome, Han.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Listen, you've had this on your mind for quite some time, and I would just love for you to share with us what it is that has driven that passion for you.
Sure. First and foremost, in terms of Thermo Fisher, we've been a market leader for over 30 years, and we feel we've been listening to our customers, understanding their bottlenecks, their issues, their roadblocks, and a lot of it has to do with the manual process and the workflow. And we feel that with the solution that we have in hand, which is the Nimbus Presto, it will give them time back and alleviate a lot of the bottlenecks that they're currently experiencing. And it's a true walkaway system for them, where they can focus on data analysis, which we know is very important. And yeah.
Excellent. What is it about the platform that gives them that walk-away ability?
So we have automated the purification and extraction process for them by combining the Kingfisher Presto and the Nimbus liquid handling system from Hamilton, having two market leaders combining to work together and collaborate to provide the solution. We feel that this will be very ideal for our customers.
Right. And what kind of time savings will using this workflow provide for each of our partners in the forensic community?
Great question. And up to 90 samples, a lab tech could process that in less than 90 minutes.
90 minutes.
90 minutes.
And it's fully walk-awayable?
Yes, it is.
Excellent. That's great to hear. Now, listen, I know that not just having the passion for what we have right now, but in the future as well. What does this provide a platform for when we're looking forwards to automated solutions?
So our vision first is the first step in providing a solution for the extraction purification. We are looking forward as well to address the other workflows, like quantification and amplification, CE setup. So our intent is to provide a workflow solution that would cover the whole workload.
Han, thank you very much for letting us take a look around today, and for you sharing with us what's been on your mind and all of your efforts regarding the ID Nimbus Presto. And to give us a little bit more information about the nitty-gritty ways to use the ID Nimbus Presto, it's a real pleasure to introduce Leo Lai, who's our Senior Automation Specialist based here in Pleasanton, California, within our HID R&D group. Leo, welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Leo, it's my understanding that you are the one who's put a lot of effort and energy into making this system user-friendly. I wonder if you can just share with me a little bit about what is behind that.
Sure. So we designed essentially a graphical user interface to guide the user through our workflow. It is very streamlined, so the user doesn't have to being an expert in the robotic system, and they can actually run the workflow without any worries.
Right, right. What portions of the workflow does the user get to select between when they're using your interface?
Sure. So the graphical interface provides a lot of different parameters for allow the user to modify. That includes any kind of input labwares or output labwares, as well as the different volumes, as well as work list ingestions and barcode checking and reagent checking as well.
And is it pretty intuitive as far as walking the user through each one of those parameters and selections?
Yeah, so we actually also designed a guidance option where the user is able to double check their deck layouts to make sure that they have put the correct labware onto the deck, and the guidance system will essentially allow the user just to build out the deck step by step and check the volume of the reagents as well as the tip usage on the system.
Wow, and so just to make sure I've got it right, you can choose within parameters of plastics, of methods, you can automate the run from that GUI as well, set it going, and then walk away, is that right?
That's correct. So the user is allowed to choose different plastic based on the input parameters. So for the input, it would be the deep well plates, tubes, or our spin plate, and the output parameter would be our tubes, deep well plates, and PCR plate.
And just for my benefit, do you really need to be a software expert or a computer expert of any type to be able to operate this platform?
No, not at all. You can simply follow the graphical user face and operate a robot, and it's complete walk away, plug and play.
I'm thrilled to hear that because it sounds like something I might even be able to use.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you so much for sharing with us what's been your passion and driven you to develop this GUI interface to make it easy for all of us users to enjoy this platform.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, it's been wonderful to hear from our two experts who've been so involved with the development of the ID Nimbus Presto workflow solution for automating what you would have ordinarily been able to do manually within your laboratory. I hope you've enjoyed listening to the background that has driven them to provide this solution for you so that we can provide you with a more efficient and effective way to do the processes that you need within your forensic HID workflow. I'm going to take you into our demonstration room now so that you can take a closer look at the ID Nimbus Presto at work. So let me mask up so that we keep things clean in here. And on my left-hand side, you see the instruments that we are talking about today. This is the demonstration of the ID Nimbus Presto that is a fully automated solution for lab work systems that you would do manually in your workflow, that puts things into real ease of use by integrating our Kingfisher Presto module on the left-hand side of the instrument with a deck layout that can do all of those manual processes for, in this instance, DNA extraction and purification. So by taking a look at this in action, along with the GUI that lets you operate it, we're going to show you throughout this demonstration what is available through the use of ID Nimbus Presto in your laboratory. So as we take a closer look at this instrument for this demo today, we're going to just highlight a few of the areas that it's capable of performing in. Not everything by any means, because it can do so much more than you're seeing here in this demo. But really, as it sets itself up, this instrument initiates itself and the deck with the Nimbus portion of it and the Kingfisher Presto area. Looking at the deck itself, we see the areas for the tips and the tube racks and everything else that goes on to hold the plates in position where you need them to be, so that everything can be set and you can walk away and you can spend that time more capably and intelligently using it for what you have decided you need to spend your time on. The Kingfisher Presto is really what makes this incredibly fast and efficient and effective for you. And as we watch it do everything that it does, as it picks up and it rotates and puts in the right position the plates that it's processing for your DNA extraction and your purification, and then utilizes the bead binding technology that really makes this efficient, you can see just how wonderfully integrated this entire automated platform of the ID Nimbus Presto is. Of course, the transferring of the lysate and the mixing and the particle additions in this deep well platform is evident for you to see as you watch this instrument at work. And not only does it do that in the extraction, the purification portion of this workflow, but it also helps with the washing step and the purification step of your DNA extraction. And then finally, of course, once that's finished, you want to be able to elute your DNA that is now extracted and purified into whatever medium that you want to use it in. So whether you want to send your elution back to tubes or you want to send it into plates for the next step in your process, this allows you to choose that capability. And so as you're watching this demo here today, we hope you can see all the different functional areas that could enhance your efficiency and your effectiveness with the DNA extraction and purification that we're seeing before us in your laboratory workflow. And just remember that it does this in anything up to 96 samples at a time. Rather than just a few or a small batch, you can choose anything up to 96 samples to do this entire workflow with before you need to come back to it to retrieve your samples. That's time well spent doing whatever else you've decided you needed to do. One of the differentiating features that we're really proud of with this automated workflow platform, the ID Nimbus Presto, is our graphical user interface, otherwise known as a GUI, which makes it really easy for the user to do what they require with this platform. And in order to help us see that a little more closely, we have one of our senior automation specialists with us to show you around the GUI, and that would be Leo.
From the desktop, we can see the icon for the application. We're going to go ahead and double click for the application to start. Once the application started, you can see a list of methods. We also have the option to scan in our catalog number to determine which method you will be running. For here, we see the prep filer and as well as the BTA methods. We're going to go ahead and choose the prep filer method. The run name is automatically generated based on the method you selected, as well as the date, time. We're going to enter a username, and then go ahead and press continue. On the next interface, we can see the different input and output that's the user allowed to modify. We're going to go ahead and unlock the settings. There will be a notification to prompt you that the parameters will be modified. We're going to go ahead and click continue. From the input library, we have 3 different options from the tubes, deep well plates, and the spin plate. We can go ahead and choose the deep well plate for the input, and our output plate is also tubes, deep well plate, or the PCR plate. For here, we're going to choose the tubes. We also can modify our different sample volume input from 300 to 500, as well as our elution volume by dragging the input, and we can choose from 20 to 290 as our output. There's also run settings that we are allowed to choose from. We have the low work list, where we can automatically generate a work list for a different amount of samples. And we also have 2 different options. One of them is the scan check here for the run settings, where the barcode scanning function will be used to compare to either the work list that's loaded, or it will be inputted for the automatically generated work list. We also have the option to reagent track, where what it will do is it will essentially use the liquid detection to detect the amount of reagents that's in the container. So once everything looks good, we can go ahead and lock our parameter options and hit continue. So on this page, we can see the different deck layout to confirm that we have loaded our library correctly, as well as the different volume. The volume indicator indicates that different reagent volume that needed to be loaded on the deck. This is a feature that we implemented to greatly visualize how much volume you needed to load onto different containers. And you can also hover over the different positions to see the different labware that's required on the deck. And we also have the tip requirement area, where it indicates how many tips will needed to be loaded. We also have visualization of the different container position of the different reagents that need to be on the deck. On the side here, the camera icon allows me to see the real-life image of the actual deck if the picture representation was confusing. We can also choose to look at the real-life version of the deck. There's also a Presto icon where we're allowed to modify our Presto serial number if needed. Also, one of the features that we implemented is the guidance mode. The user is able to use the guidance mode to help them set up the deck step by step. The guidance mode will display the different steps needed to set up the entire deck. We can see that the system helper is showing us the steps that needed to perform, such as turning on the Nimbus, turning on the Presto to ensure initialization, and to load onto the different labware that needed to be on the deck. The different tips. And once the user gone through all these steps to load on the deck, there will be a finish button where the user can press. Once the user press the finish button, it will say that the guidance mode is performed, and then we can continue on to running the control software. So by pressing continue, the application will launch the run control software. And once the data is transferred, launch control software will prompt the user on how many tips are needed to be loaded. Press OK on the tips that are loaded. And this is the part where the user is able to start a method and walk away.
What we've gotten to right now really excites me. This is our HID specific portion of the workflow, and as I get to this part of what we can see in our laboratories, it's really like a forensic genetics museum. And we see here right on the very first instrument, the genesis or the foundation of capillary electrophoresis genetic analyzers, the 310, which many of you I'm sure will recognize from your time training and doing casework in your labs, wherever that might be. And of course, next to that on the end of the bench is the 3130 series, which was a step up and really taught us that we were folks who were listening to what was needed for the workflows in your laboratories to make things better, more efficient, and your work product more effective too. But listen, it gets better. When we get to this next window here, we see on the right hand side some of the old workhorses, the 9700 thermal cyclers, which I'm sure many of you still have in use in your facilities today. But as we spin around and have a look at the 3500 genetic analyzers here on the left hand side, that again is just another step up in our response to what you needed as a lab to provide what you have been expecting from us at Thermo Fisher Scientific to make your work easier, more effective, and more efficient. Now, with all of this instrumentation, with all of the chemistry, with the automation that we are presenting to you as well throughout this demo, we also want you to know that our work at Thermo Fisher Scientific doesn't stop there. We want to partner with you further in offering our services through our HID Professional Services Group, known as HPS, to come in and to work with you in your lab to install, validate fully a workflow that will help you out the best, so that when we leave, you're ready to run with all that you've ever imagined to make your lab the best, efficient, and effective one possible. Well, folks, thank you very much for joining us here today. I hope that you've enjoyed all that you've seen in the demo and the little tour around our facilities. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reach out to one of your Thermo Fisher Scientific representatives, and they'll answer whatever they can that's caught your eye during this time. And stay right where you are, because following this, we're going to be here to answer all of the questions that you might want to throw at us live. So thank you again for joining us, and goodbye for now.